This video is for you if you can relate to one of the following things. Growing up, socializing and relationship building was a mystery to you. You saw the popular kids being able to do it so effortlessly, but for you, it just didn't click. And now you're an adult and you're struggling to make the kind of relationships you want. Or you're a person that struggles with social anxiety your whole life, or since COVID hit and all that social isolation happened, it really began to develop and you don't know how to deal with it now. Or you're the type of person that your social ability is okay and your relationships are okay, but you want so much more and you don't know what it's going to take to get you to that next level. I used to have an extreme case of social anxiety and be one of the most socially awkward people you could have ever met. It was so bad, I couldn't even order takeout over the phone without being terrified of being judged. I socially isolated myself for a long time to the point of being suicidal, and I really believed I was going to die forever alone. I thought that was my destiny. I was a loser, a loner, and an outcast. It took many years of hard work in searching for the right tools and information to finally overcome these issues. After years of struggling and then helping dozens of others, I've distilled this process into 10 simple and easy to understand and follow steps to take people from strangers to a very close relationship. What you're about to watch is the class that I wish I had when I was growing up. The last thing I'll say is if this training is not enough for you to start to build the abundance of relationships you want in your life, it's most likely because you have deeper blocks inside of you that prevent you from even putting yourself out there to begin with. If that's the case, that's okay because there are ways to fix that, but it just means we have to do some deeper work. And the good news for you is because you're accessing this training, I want to gift you your first session for free. On that session, I can help you identify what your deeper blocks might be and help you develop a custom game plan for you on how to not only overcome those blocks, but to start to really succeed in socializing and relationships. No more yapping. Let's start the training. Welcome to the 10 levels of socializing. This is how you can take somebody from a stranger to a genuine, loving relationship in 10 steps. And this is applicable for friendships as well as a dating context. So let's break down these levels. The first one is eye contact. This is the bare minimum form of social contact. It's just simply looking at another person. Not much more to say here. Level 2 is acknowledgement. One step beyond just looking at somebody is actually acknowledging their existence. This can be done in many ways. Just waving. You wave at somebody by the street. You do a little head nod, one of these. Maybe you just flash them a smile. It could be anything. Just some form of acknowledging their presence. The next level is small talk, right? This is once you've acknowledged a person and there's actually an opportunity to chat with them, small talk is a great place to start. However, I know some of you hearing this might have aversions to small talk, thinking, oh, it's fake or it's phony or I just don't like it, it's weird. And I understand where you're coming from, but it actually serves a really important place because sometimes if we go too deep with people too quickly, that can be like too much pressure for others and people will be a bit repulsed by that or uncomfortable and they won't want to continue connecting. So if you just start with small talk and you can stay here for literally 5 seconds, you don't have to stay here for a long time. It's just a nice bridge from being a total stranger into entering a conversation. So simple questions like, hey, how's it going? Or what's your name? Or, crazy weather we're having. Maybe commenting on shared experience, like you're in the line for something like at a coffee shop and you're like, oh man, long line today, huh? It can be anything. It's really simple, really low stakes. But it's just kind of the first words that you exchange with a person. And very quickly after that, you can transition into level 4, basic conversation. This is where you enter an actual conversation. And usually you're going to find a lot of surface level questions, very simple stuff. You could be discussing common interests like, hey, you watch any good movies or shows lately? Oh, what do you do for fun? What are your hobbies? Conversations are on a spectrum of vulnerability and intimacy. The more surface level, the safer it is, the easier, the lower the stakes, the less the pressure. But you're not going to build as much intimacy. But there's a place when you just meet somebody, you don't want to go too deep too quick. You might turn them off. And basic conversation goes a long way. And there's lots of questions that you can come up with. And what's cool about this level is that the more commonalities you find between yourself and the other person, the more rapport you're going to build. And the more rapport, the more safety, trust, the more good vibes, the more good energy. And that's a really great foundation for getting to know somebody.
Also, simple compliments, of course, always being genuine. I think bonus points. This is a good place to add that if that's true for you. A couple examples are, where are you from? I love to ask people this. I ask pretty much everybody this question, who I'm getting to know. What do you like to do for fun? Right? Talking about hobbies, or what do you do for work? It's a common one. That can branch off into some good conversations. Do you have any hobbies? What are you into? For example, like if I see somebody wearing a shirt like this, I'd be like, hey, that's a cool shirt. Where'd you get that from? Or like, oh, what's the significance? What does it mean? You can ask questions like that that can lead into some really interesting conversations, because then I'd be like, oh yeah, I got this in Mexico. Oh, really? In Mexico? Where in Mexico? Oh, Playa del Carmen. Oh, what's that? Tell me about that. And that can bridge off into so many stories and so many good chats. So this is basic conversation. This is the only time I would recommend you having a list of pre-prepared questions if you need them. If it's hard for you to think in the moment when you're in conversation, if you start to freeze, having a couple go-to questions that you personally like to ask people because you find it interesting, that can really help grease the social engine and get things flowing a little nicer. So after you have a basic conversation, the next level, level 5, is you can transition into more of a deep conversation. It's not too different from basic conversation, but it's just a bit more vulnerability, a bit more intimacy. This can happen from sharing personal stories or experiences. Personal stories or experiences are a whole spectrum of vulnerability. For example, you could discuss your emotions or your beliefs or your values. Man, that's personal stuff. That's where you get to know somebody a lot deeper. And like I said before, trying to go too deep too quickly can feel invasive. So this is where you're going to need to just build some experience and learn to sense how other people are feeling while you're talking to them. Not being too over analyzing, but just aware. If I ask a question that's more deeper and I notice a person kind of takes a step back or gets a little bit defensive or a bit guarded, oh, I went too deep too quick. And if you struggle with conversation, with keeping people interested, if people tend to get bored talking to you, then you probably need to go a little deeper, a little quicker. People generally like deep conversations as long as it feels safe and they're enjoying the conversation. So just keep that in mind. Some examples can be, what are your life goals? Who do you love the most? Very nice question that makes people think about very warm and fuzzy feelings, which naturally, if you are talking about feel-good topics with somebody, they're gonna associate good feelings to you. And if they're associating good feelings to you, they're more likely to want to hang out with you more. Tell me more about that. If you've already been talking about something from your basic conversation, but you want to go deeper with it, tell me more about that. What does that mean to you? Why is that important to you? Why do you love that? Love these questions. What are you most passionate about is another one I really like to ask. I remember I would sometimes when I'm on a flight and I have somebody sitting next to me and I have a little small talk and they seem cool, they seem open, I'll ask them like, what are you most passionate about? And sometimes that catches people off guard. They're like, oh, they don't expect that because most people don't ask those kinds of questions. And so when you do, not only can you open up a really awesome conversation and potentially really create a cool relationship, but it's just fun. And you stand out in people's memories because most people don't ask those kinds of questions. So you can really, learning how to ask good questions is one of the best socializing hacks I could possibly bestow to you. So this is good stuff. Again, like, why do you think, believe, feel that way? What are your hopes, your dreams, your fears? Who do you aspire to be? There's many more examples. These are just a few. So after that, after you have a deep conversation with somebody, the vibe is good, you're connecting, and you genuinely want to see this person again or talk to them more or hang out with them, only if you genuinely want to. If you're feeling pressured to like have that relationship succeed because you're trying to validate something versus having genuine interest in the other person, I would just keep that in check. We don't want to be coming from a place of desperation of, oh my gosh, I have no friends. I need to make one. Oh, this is going well. I need to make sure that this person, it's like, we don't need to do that. As you follow this, you will open yourself up to lots of opportunities for friendships and dating opportunities. You really will, I promise. And I want you to tune into yourself, how you feel talking to the person. Do you feel excited about the idea of talking to them more or seeing them again? Great. That's the only thing you need to know to then make your contact. And you can do this pretty much at any point once there's a good connection and you realize, oh yeah, I like this person, we should hang out more. You don't have to do this at the end of the conversation, although that is a totally reasonable time to do it. You can do it at any point, because I've seen so many people who are trying to learn how to make friends and socialize who have struggled with it. And they have a really great interaction with somebody, either in a friendship context or dating context. It goes really well, but then they just completely forget to ask the person their contact, or they get weird about it, or whatever that might be. And so they never see them again. And it's like, oh man, like that was an opportunity, right? So it's very simple. This step is one of the easiest, really. You can simply start by saying, hey, you're really awesome. I'm enjoying this conversation. Before I forget, I'd love to get your contact so maybe we can hang out sometime or get together or do XYZ hobby that maybe you talked about in your basic or deep conversation. This all leads into itself. The two main contacts that I recommend is either getting people's phone number or getting people's Instagram, if you have it. Both are good. Neither is better or worse. It depends on what people's preferences are. Also, in this step, I highly recommend making potential plans with the person while you're getting their contact. Really important, because sometimes we have the best of intentions. We want to hang out with people. But if we never make a plan, or at least a start to make a plan, then life goes on. Maybe the other person forgets, maybe we forget, and it just never happens. If you can pencil in a specific day, even better a specific time, it's more likely to make it happen because it's becoming more crystallized. And in that moment, that person is already future pacing, spending time with you. And then later with correspondence, that's just sending them messages, texts, calling them on the phone, even FaceTiming them. Either just to say what's up and to connect, or to plan your next get together or whatever that might be. Also, pro tip on this one, something I love to do is when I make a contact of somebody I want to spend time with, while I'm with them, I'll be like, hey, let's do a quick selfie. Smile, cheese, selfie. And then I text that over to them either on Instagram or their phone number as a way for them to remember who I am, and to also like anchor in the good time that we're having now, so that they remember, oh, I had a good time with that person. Yeah, let's get together. This is also a useful hack because you can put the photo you take as their profile picture in your contacts, so you can also remember who they are. The next step is very simple. It's hanging out. It's actually getting together with the person you made a contact with. Casually meeting up, getting together, maybe engaging in mutual hobbies, playing games, sports, going for a walk, movies, hobbies, coffee. There's so many things that could be. Again, if you find mutual interests or hobbies or things you both like to do during the conversation period, that can be an easy bridge to hang out with this person again. And yeah, just hanging out, being yourself, having a good time. I know that sounds simple, but it's really because it is. And the next level is once you hang out with people, you can start to build deeper intimacy with your relationships. And this is how you turn an acquaintance into a close friend or even a best friend. Or how you turn a date into a girlfriend or a partner or boyfriend or whatever gender you identify with. Deep, authentic relationships are built upon intimacy. What is intimacy? Some people have fears around it. It's very simply sharing how you actually think and how you actually feel with another human being. That's it. It's being more raw and honest and authentic about what you really think and feel about yourself, about them, about life, about anything. Intimacy is also built upon more quality time and having shared experiences with people. Also expressing more profound and deep verbal appreciation. Saying I love you, right? There's levels of saying I love you that can be scary for certain people. I tell all my friends and relationships I love them once I get to this level. I've made it a point to do so. I find that it brings us closer and it creates beautiful moments, and there's really no downside. Intimacy is also built with physical bonding. This can be hugs, high fives. For dating, it can be sex, kissing, etc. Physical touch is a wonderful way to bond with people. Also, sharing vulnerably about life's struggles. Sharing in your struggles can create intimacy. Caveat there, we don't want to just trauma dump on people. There needs to be a balance, and we also want to be there for them. But it actually does bring you closer together when it's balanced. Also, heart-centered connecting, bonding, sharing about your family, your childhood, your upbringing, just sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly of life. and just having more regular and deep conversations over time. Also offering support during difficult times. These are all ways to build intimacy, and there are more. Oh, and that's what's cool, is when you build intimacy with another person, that's how you create a loving relationship. It's very, very simple. And I want you to know that these first 8 steps is all you really need if you're the type of person who just wants a couple or a few really close relationships and you don't need lots of friends. You really only need levels 1 through 8 and you're good. But levels 9 and 10 are for those who are probably a bit more extroverted and who just want to continue to connect with more and more people. Level 9 is about building social circles. So it's just actually repeating steps 1 through 8 more than once, and you will start to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus friends. And once you have more and more friends, naturally that creates a social circle with you being the connecting point. What's also cool is as you build intimacy with other people, most people have some social circle. So by you getting close with somebody, you most likely will already be introduced into other circles that already exist. And that's wonderful for 2 main reasons. Number 1, it makes the process of creating relationships a lot faster and easier. Also, because you've decided that, oh, I like this person's cool, I resonate with this person, I want to spend time with them, you're more likely to feel that way about their friends and the people that they're close to, because that's a bit of a pre-qualification. And ultimately, it is the easiest way to build a social circle is by not building it, is by joining ones that already exist. And there can be some really awesome ones, and you can have some amazing memories in that. Final level, level 10, is merging social circles. So this is like the peak of being a socializing guru, expert, extrovert, whatever, right? Is you can merge social circles. So if you make a friend group over here and you make a friend group over here, but they don't necessarily know each other, well then you can host an event, a party or a gathering or whatever, and invite these 2 circles together and intermingle. And there's like matchmaker potential in that. And also even not just matchmaker for dating, but friends too. I've done that before. And it's actually a really rewarding experience and really great for networking as well. I want you to understand that all of these levels are effective for your career and business if that involves networking in the slightest, which most careers do. This stuff is super valuable. And ultimately, I believe the most valuable currency in life is loving, intimate relationships. And so this is the key. This is it. These 10 levels, even really just level 1 to 8, is all you need for a lifetime of loving relationships. And there's nothing better than that. So I hope this video helps break this down in a very simple and easy to understand way, because I had to figure this stuff out on my own. But now that I understand this stuff, it helps reduce social anxiety and it helps make it a lot easier for me to connect and build awesome relationships. I hope you enjoy.